After my rebirth, the first thing I did was tear up the marriage registration letter and throw it into the stove. In my past life, I had been married to Julian for 20 years. Just after I had given birth to our child, he disappeared with Fiona. I raised our child alone, cared for my paralyzed mother-in-law, and managed the funeral arrangements after her death. 20 years later, when I was on the brink of death, they returned. He tenderly held Fiona in his arms, his eyes full of affection. "We are true love," he said. "The biggest regret of my life is marrying you. If I hadn't married you that day, Fiona and I wouldn't have had to sneak around for 20 years. You've got what you deserved." The first thing I confirmed after being reborn was that I would never marry Julian again. In my previous life, after Julian and I had just gotten our marriage certificate, he bumped into a girl outside the registration hall. The girl was Fiona, a new substitute teacher at the village primary school. Out of concern, we walked her back to the village together. Along the way, Julian remained silent. I thought it was either because he was shy or trying to avoid suspicion. But I never imagined that, from that one accidental bump, Julian had already fallen in love with Fiona at first sight. His silence wasn't about avoiding suspicion, it was regret. Regret about marrying me so quickly and regretting that. Only after getting the marriage certificate did he meet Fiona. At the time, I was blissfully preparing for our wedding and hadn't noticed the changes in him. All I knew was that he often loitered around the school gate. When I asked him why, he simply said he was just wandering around. If I asked more, he'd get angry and accuse me of infringing on his personal freedom. I thought he was just stressed from work, and things would improve over time. But after we married, he continued using work as an excuse to avoid coming home. I had many arguments with him, even asking why others could bring their spouses to work but I couldn't. He coldly replied, "Obey the organization's arrangement. Don't make trouble for the organization." It wasn't until I became pregnant and stubbornly visited his workplace that I found out he had been with another woman all along. That woman was not me. Julian and I had a huge fight, which became the talk of his entire workplace. I shouted that I wanted a divorce. But the very next day, Julian disappeared with Fiona. I asked his colleagues and the police, but no one knew where he had gone. No one knew if he was alive or dead. I returned to my hometown in disgrace. And when my paralyzed mother-in-law found out that her son was missing, she slapped me hard across the face. She cursed me as a harbinger of death, accusing me of forcing her son away. I had no way to defend myself. If I hadn't insisted on going to his workplace, if I hadn't made such a scene, Julian would never have disappeared. But I was his legally married wife. Why was I the one who had to be hidden in shame? My mother advised me, "Since Julian is gone, you might as well just get rid of the child. You're still young. You can still move on." But I was stubborn. I believed Julian loved me. Maybe he had been sent on some secret mission. I was certain Julian would come back. So I went for my prenatal checkups alone, gave birth alone, and raised our child alone. I cared for his disabled mother and took care of the household chores for him. Even his mother's funeral was handled by me alone. But who could have predicted that? After 20 years of hard work, I had been drained physically and mentally. And just when I was on the verge of death, Julian returned, with Fiona by his side. They had been living carefree for 20 years. Middle-aged Julian still looked charming, while the petite and delicate Fiona still shone with radiance. But I had grown thin and aged, as though I was from a completely different era. My son, whom I had raised with so much effort, now stood before them, calling them Mom and Dad. Julian stood by my bedside, his words cold as ice. He thanked me for taking care of his mother, for fulfilling my duties. But he still resented me. He said that if he hadn't married me, he and Fiona wouldn't have had to sneak around for 20 years. My existence had stained their lives. I looked at him with resentment. What nonsense. If you regretted marrying me, why didn't you just say it to me directly? You could have divorced me and married Fiona. It was him who abandoned me and our child, being unfilial and unfaithful. Yet, he stood there resenting me, blaming me for standing in the way of their happiness. And my son. He looked at everything with an expression of calm indifference. The look he gave me was like that of a stranger. In his eyes, I saw admiration for his father and a desire to please Fiona. It was clear that my son had been in contact with Julian for a long time. They all knew, but they had kept it from me. In that moment, I realized how pathetic and laughable my life had been. I arrived at the marriage registration office 2 hours later. From a distance, I saw Julian carefully supporting a young woman. They were holding hands, sitting together on the steps outside the registration hall. I saw the admiration in Julian's eyes and a relief that came with it. Yes, they hadn't registered yet. Julian was finally getting his wish. I quickened my pace and walked up to them. Julian let out a low sigh. I'm here. Were you getting anxious? It was obvious that my appearance startled Julian. Oh. It's Yolanda. You're here. I looked down at Fiona, who had just raised her head to look at me. The moment our eyes met, I sensed something was off. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and triumph. This was the first time Fiona had looked at me like this. In my previous life, she had always been warm and friendly, but now her gaze was full of hostility. It was clear Fiona had been waiting for Julian here. But in this life, Julian and I hadn't registered yet. I wondered what Julian would choose this time. Would he cancel the wedding and choose Fiona instead? Just like in my previous life. Even though he was marrying me, Julian was still secretly entangled with Fiona. Julian, you let out a low sigh. Let's go get our marriage certificate, I said, pretending not to notice anything. In an instant, Julian's face turned pale. Ouch. My foot hurts. Could it be broken? Fiona cried out dramatically. And Julian immediately turned to her in alarm. I stood to the side, watching the two of them exchange tender looks. Their affection as obvious as day. In my past life, Fiona had brushed it off with a smile, saying she was fine and even congratulated us, telling us not to mind. And now how coincidental that she happened to get hurt? I looked her over, my gaze slightly probing, but said nothing. A flicker of joy crossed Julian's face before he scooped Fiona into his arms and rushed to the clinic without hesitation. After the doctor examined her, he said it was nothing serious, just a bit of sunburn. Fiona blushed but insisted that it still hurt terribly. The doctor told her to rest for a couple of days and avoid walking too much. On the way back, Julian's happiness was almost palpable. Fiona, too, couldn't hide the smile on her face. I followed silently behind them, saying nothing. When we passed by the marriage registration office, Julian's expression stiffened. Yolanda, they're already closed. Why don't we come back tomorrow? I nodded inferiorly. After all, I hadn't really come here today to register our marriage. Sure, I said lightly. We should choose an auspicious day for something this important, don't you think? Julian paused, then nodded with a smile. All right. I'll ask Uncle Zhang to pick us a good day. I curved my lips in a faint smile but didn't respond. If only he knew no matter how hard he tried, he'd never find a good day for us in this lifetime. On the way back, I tentatively asked Fiona if she needed me to escort her home. Her cheeks flushed as she turned to Julian with a hopeful look. Julian looked embarrassed but spoke with firm resolve. Let Fiona ride in my car. I'm a man. I have more strength. You're too thin to manage. Seeing that, even a fool would know it was time for me to step away. I turned around, got on my bicycle, and left ahead of him. The early autumn breeze brushed through my hair, carrying behind it the sound of their laughter. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I knew Julian was laughing, truly laughing from the heart. In my previous life, I had never once heard that carefree laughter from him. But thinking about it now, it no longer mattered. It would soon have nothing to do with me. When I arrived home, my mother was in the yard, washing clothes. Seeing me, her face bright and immediately. You're back. So, did you register? Let me see the marriage certificate. I forced a small smile. We didn't. The marriage introduction letter got lost. I'll get a replacement tomorrow. My mother's head snapped up. What? How could you lose it? You're always so careless. Let me help you look for it. She stood up and hurried inside. I followed her. While she rummaged through the room, I pulled out the old wooden chest from under the bed. In my past life, I could have gone to college. But Julian had said that since his mother had bad legs and no one to care for her, he couldn't leave her behind. He told me to stay home, wait for him to graduate and find a job, and that he'd take me to the city for a better life. So, for him, I gave up the college entrance exam and stayed to look after his mother. And in the end, he became a wealthy official, sharing his life with another woman while I stayed behind like a housekeeper, serving his family until I grew old. Not this time. This time, I'd take back everything that should have been mine. As I stared blankly at the box of old books, my mother called from behind. Anxious. Yolanda. Stop dawdling. Help me find the letter. What if the marriage can't go through between you and Julian's family? I sat her down on the bed and looked her straight in the eyes. Mom, what if I don't want to marry Julian? She froze. What? Why? Indeed. Everyone in the village knew how much I liked Julian. Since middle school, I'd been chasing after him, doing everything for him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dropped out of high school just to care for his parents. But now that I've been given a second chance, how could I make the same mistake again? Seeing my serious expression, my mother realized I meant it. After a long silence, her face grew solemn. If that's your decision, I'll support you. Truth is, she continued, I never agreed with you dropping out of school in the first place. You always had better grades than Julian. If someone like him could get into college, you definitely could have too. I never understood why you insisted on wasting your future here for him. But now that you've come to your senses, that's good. Don't worry, well, I'll support you if you want to study again. I lowered my head in shame. Everyone around me had seen it clearly except me. I had been the only fool lost inside the illusion. Luckily, this time, I wouldn't repeat my mistakes. That evening, Julian didn't come by as he usually did. I took my books and went to the old headmaster's house in the village. After so many years, both in my previous life and this one, I hadn't touched a textbook in decades. If I wanted to take the college entrance exam, I'd need the old headmaster's help. As I passed by the village school, I saw Julian and Fiona standing together in a corner, talking. Whatever Julian said made Fiona laugh uncontrollably. When he noticed me, he froze for a second, then rushed to explain. Yolanda, I was just worried about Fiona's foot, so I came to check on her. I was going to visit you afterward, but you showed up first. My gaze slid past him and landed on Fiona. Her face was lit with a triumphant smile, her eyes shadowed with smug satisfaction. It's fine, I said coolly. I'm going to the headmaster's. You two go on chatting. And from now on, Julian let out a low sigh. If there's nothing urgent, don't come by my house anymore, it's troublesome. I turned to leave, but Julian grabbed my arm. What are you doing at the headmaster's? What's that in your hand? A high school textbook? What are you planning? I pulled free from his grasp. I'm planning to take next year's college entrance exam. I'm asking the headmaster to tutor me. Is that a problem? Julian's expression changed, as if he'd been struck by lightning. What? You're taking the college exam? What for? We're about to get married. Your job is to learn how to keep a house and be a good wife. I lifted my brows and looked at him coldly. So, in his eyes, I was nothing more than the family's maid, someone meant to serve them all. No wonder. In my past life, he'd rather sneak around with Fiona for a lifetime than divorce me. Was this his plan all along? Let me care for his paralyzed mother, so he could stay free to dote on Fiona without guilt? My gaze must have been too sharp, because Julian's expression faltered with unease. Yolanda, I'm not stopping you from going to school, he said quickly. I just meant there's no need. You're about to get married. Even if you get into college, what's the point? Then, as if suddenly remembering something, he frowned. You're not getting married anymore? You don't want to be with me? Didn't you promise to take good care of my mom for me, so I could study in peace and bring you to the city later? I stared at his hypocritical face, nausea rising in my chest. Yes, I said, my voice steady. I'm not getting married. And I don't want to be with you anymore. Tomorrow my mother will find the matchmaker and call off the engagement. Whatever happens after that, whether I study or get married, is none of your business. Understood? Without waiting for his reply, I turned and walked away, my figure quickly swallowed by the darkness. I had already arranged a schedule with the old headmaster for daily tutoring before returning home. But as soon as I reached the gate, I saw Julian waiting there. So, he'd finished comforting Fiona and come running to me next? Pretending not to see him, I pushed the door open. He grabbed my arm and pulled me aside. Yolanda, what's going on with you? What did I do wrong? Tell me. I'll change. All right? Expressionless, I yanked my hand free. Nothing's wrong, I said flatly. I just realized giving up my future for marriage is stupid. I want to live the life I choose. What? Is that not allowed? The words left him speechless. After a long pause, he said in a tone thick with disappointment. You've changed, Yolanda. You weren't like this before. I almost laughed. I've changed because I stopped revolving around you? Then yes, I love this change. It means I've grown up. Leaving Julian standing there in his quiet misery, I went inside, washed up, and went to bed. The next morning, my mother went to find the matchmaker to annul the engagement. I, meanwhile, called over 2 of my cousins from the East Wing and went to the Julian family's home to retrieve my things. Since the wedding preparations had already begun, most of my dowry had been sent to their house. Just as we entered the courtyard, Fiona stepped out of the house. She was dressed in a brand new red suit one my mother had bought for my wedding. On her feet were the leather shoes my aunt had sent all the way from Beijing. And from the room she had just come out of, it was unmistakably the bridal chamber meant for Julian and me. How thoughtful of him. Fiona, seeing me, didn't look the least bit embarrassed or guilty. Instead, her face gleamed with smug satisfaction. In that instant, I understood Fiona's intentions perfectly. This life, she was here to take my place. In our previous life, she had been the mistress for decades. Of course she wouldn't settle for that again. So she had waited at the marriage registration office on purpose, orchestrating that chance encounter with Julian to capture his attention. But honestly, she didn't have to try so hard. From the moment I was reborn, I never planned to have anything to do with that man again. Yet since she insisted on flaunting herself before me, I couldn't just let it slide. Well, Fiona, I said with a cold smile. Didn't expect you to be a thief breaking into someone else's house to steal their crawls. What's the matter? Should I call the police to make you take them off? Fiona lowered her head pitifully, then looked up again, eyes shimmering with tears. Yolanda, I know you don't like me, she said in a trembling voice. But these clothes, Julian said I could wear them. How could you accuse me of stealing? I let out a sharp laugh. Julian really had no shame. Chasing after me one moment, refusing to break the engagement, then turning around and giving everything my family prepared for our wedding to his sweetheart. Just then, without a low sigh, Julian himself appeared in the courtyard. Seeing me standing there with my 2 cousins, he panicked. Yolanda, it's not what you think. He rushed to explain. Fiona came early to bring me a book. She saw the clothes you left here and said she'd never seen anything so pretty, so she tried them on. I thought it was no big deal, so I agreed. My face darkened. My cousin's expressions were no better. Julian, went out a low sigh. I said coldly. Didn't you hear me say yesterday that I'm calling off the engagement? You agreed to let her try them on? These things were prepared by my family for me. What right do you have to let her touch them? What gives you the right to decide anything about my belongings? Now the clothes have been worn. The shoes too. I don't want them anymore. You'll compensate me 96 for the suit, 50 for the shoes. The total of 146. And I'll check what else she's touched. Anything she's laid hands on, you'll pay for. Otherwise, I'll call the police. You 2 college student and teacher surely understand what taking without permission means. Don't you? At the mention of the police, Fiona blanched, clutching Julian's arm as tears streamed down her face. Julian froze. Even though I'd said I wanted to break off the engagement, he never believed I meant it. He thought I was just jealous, throwing a tantrum. So even now, he spoke to me with that insufferable arrogance. Yolanda, stop making a scene. It's just a set of clothes. I only let Fiona try them on. What's the big deal? If you keep this up, I'll have to reconsider our marriage altogether. His face was dark, his tone cold and his words laughably cruel. But they couldn't hurt me anymore. Not in this lifetime. I was about to speak when a strong, resonant voice called out from behind me. You don't have to reconsider anything. Our Yolanda isn't marrying you. I turned around. My mother, with the matchmaker in tow, strode into the courtyard. She reached for my hand, giving it a reassuring pat, then faced the couple before us. The moment she saw Fiona in my wedding clothes, fury flashed across her face. Julian, and I thought you were a decent man, she said, her voice sharp as a whip. When Yolanda wanted to break off the engagement, I almost felt sorry. But now I see what kind of person you really are. Giving your fiancée's wedding clothes to some vixen, have you no shame? If you want to keep a mistress, fine, but at least use your own family's money. Taking your fiancée's belongings as gifts, don't you have an ounce of decency left? My mother had worked the fields all her life, strong, loud, and direct. Her words landed like blows. Julian's face turned crimson with embarrassment, while Fiona stood behind him, sobbing softly, pretending to be the victim. But my mother wasn't finished. She stepped forward, grabbed Fiona by the collar, and shouted, "Take it off. Chasing a man into his house, wearing another woman's clothes, don't you have any shame? Is this what your parents taught you?" The moment Julian saw Fiona upset, his face was filled with concern, his voice hoarse. He explained to my mother, "Aunt, it's not like that. Fiona just liked the clothes and wanted to try them on. I wasn't planning on giving them to her." Liked them? Liked someone else's class? Is that why she just grabbed them and put them on without asking? I don't even know how this teacher got hired. I'll talk to the village chief later. Make sure they don't ruin our village's children. Fiona, who was from the town and had been spoiled since childhood, had never faced such a humiliation. After my mother scolded her, Fiona covered her face and tried to leave, but my mother grabbed her by the arm. "You're not going anywhere. If you're leaving, you'll have to take off that dress first." Turning to the matchmaker, who had been silent until now, my mother asked, "You saw what happened. Do you still think I was wrong to break off the engagement?" The matchmaker sighed, but said nothing as she walked into the house to find Julian's mother. Julian's mother had overheard everything in the yard earlier, but due to her limited mobility, she could only sit in the house, growing more anxious by the minute. When the matchmaker entered, she rushed to reassure her. "Little girl, I know Julian was wrong. I'll make sure he checks Fiona out immediately. I like Yolanda. I want her to be my daughter-in-law. Please, talk to us again. We can't cancel the engagement." I stood outside the house, stifling a laugh. Like me? Or was she just worried about not having anyone to look after her? In my previous life, that old woman had made my life miserable. Despite my family being better off than hers, I paid for Julian's living expenses while he was in college. After marriage, I devoted myself to serving her, but she always found fault with me. She would often mock me for being uneducated, calling me a country bumpkin, and said her son had suffered a great injustice marrying me. The truth was, if I hadn't taken care of her so devotedly, she bedridden old woman would have faced far more hardship. But now that she saw my value, she clung to me and refused to break the engagement. She was dreaming. I turned to look at my mother, who, without hesitation, walked into the house. "Old sister-in-law, stop with the nonsense. Anyone with eyes can see that your son is interested in that woman. And now, you're clinging to my daughter. Isn't that a bit much? We're in a new society now, one that values love and marriage freedom. Your son has the right to find a partner, and my daughter has the right to refuse him. We can quietly cancel this engagement, and everyone will be happy. If we make a scene, not only will we lose face, but so will you. Don't you agree?" Julian's mother was left speechless by my mother's words, while Julian's face showed both joy and concern. Fiona, who had been crying on the floor, stopped sobbing. Finally, heading fulfilled my sigh. With the matchmaker as a witness, my mother returned all the gifts for the engagement. The engagement was officially broken off, and my relationship with Julian was over. My mother pulled me away to go home, but I stood still. Since our engagement is cancelled, and my family covered your living expenses for 4 years of college, don't you think it's time to pay us back? Those words caused Julian's face to drain of color, and veins popped on his forehead. His hands clenched into fists. He looked at me with eyes full of fury, like he could set me on fire with just a glance. Seeing this, my mother immediately stepped in front of me, with my 2 cousins coming up to back me up. With our numbers on our side, Julian eventually suppressed his anger. His voice was low as he muttered, "I don't have that much money right now." "That's fine. We're all from the same village. We can write an IOU. We can wait." Clearly taken aback by my persistence, Julian's chest heaved. After a long pause, he ground out, "Fine. I'll write it." Once he had written the IOU and signed it, Julian turned to leave. But then, I saw Fiona trying to sneak away. I stepped forward and grabbed her. "Where do you think you're going?" Fiona panicked, stumbling over her words. "No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going back to class." I blocked the door with a swift move. "Not so fast. You still haven't settled the matter with the clothes you stole from me. How can you leave like this?" "Right. Fiona?" Fiona was about to burst into tears again, but Julian was already rushing to her side, full of sympathy. Angrily, having fulfilled my sigh, he shouted at me, "Yolanda, what are you doing? We've broken off the engagement. Why are you still bullying Fiona?" "Oh, so now that we've broken the engagement, he's rushing to protect his little darling?" But with my mother and cousins behind me, I wasn't afraid. She stole my clothes. Either she compensates me or she goes to the police. You choose. Julian froze for a moment, then stared at me with a defeated look in his eyes. "Yolanda, after all these years, can't you give me a little face?" I turned away and didn't say a word, but my cousins couldn't hold back. "Julian, Landa lo sorry. Are you done yet? My sister already broke off the engagement. Where's the relationship you're talking about? Hurry up. Pay up. Or call the cops." "Yeah. You're a college student. Working in the city? I can't believe some city companies would hire a guy like you." Under their taunts, Julian's face flushed with embarrassment. He turned to Fiona. "Fiona, how about you just buy the clothes?" The moment the words left his mouth, Fiona's eyes filled with tears, as her gaze widened and in disbelief. "What? Buy the clothes?" She was just a substitute teacher, earning only a few bucks a month. Her family was well off, but even so, the clothes and shoes together cost more than 100 yuan. She couldn't afford that. But given the situation, Julian wasn't going to pay for her. After considering it, Fiona gritted her teeth and agreed. We agreed on a date for her to pay, and I went home with my family. On the way back, my cousins couldn't stop complaining about Julian. I listened to them, smiling contentedly. In my past life, I had to care for my child while also taking care of a paralyzed mother-in-law. My cousins had helped me a lot. Now, with my loved ones by my side, I could pursue my own life. It felt so good. A week later, the day came when Fiona was supposed to pay me. I arrived early at the school gate to wait for Fiona. Before long, I saw Julian and Fiona walking hand in hand out of the school. When Julian spotted me, he immediately let go of Fiona's hand. But then, as if remembering something, he pulled her back into his arms. Fiona, however, was completely at ease, leaning into Julian's embrace, flashing me a bright smile. "Julian is really clingy. Yolanda, don't mind him. A joke." Of course I didn't mind, I was just worried they wouldn't pay up. Seeing my lack of reaction, Fiona looked a bit frustrated. I stepped forward, extending my hand. "Is the money ready?" Fiona's face flushed as she turned toward Julian, clearly wanting to act coy. But Julian had already turned his head, staring blankly at the big poplar tree by the roadside. Annoyed, Fiona spun around, and when her eyes landed on me, Her expression shifted instantly to one of arrogant pride. Is it just over $100? Julian's earning plenty in the city now. Dozens a month. Only someone as clueless as you would fuss over trifles like this. I took the money, counting it twice to be sure it was exact. What his salary is has nothing to do with me. All I care about is that this money is in my hands. That's real security. Got it? You just like swallowing his sweet talk. Careful, Pavel. One day it'll choke you. With that, I turned to leave. Fiona stomped her foot in frustration, but suddenly called out after me. Yolanda. The day after tomorrow Julian and I are having our engagement at the town state-run restaurant. Are you coming? I tilted my head, puzzled, and pointed to my nose. Me? You're inviting me to your engagement banquet? Are you serious? I had to admit. A woman who could live her whole life as a mistress had a truly unique way of thinking. Inviting the ex-Yankee to her own engagement banquet, anyone with a normal mind wouldn't even imagine it. I cocked my head and studied them. Fiona stared at me with wide, tearful eyes, unblinking, as if bestowing some great favor upon me. I seemed to remember something, my hands rummaging in my pockets. After a moment, I pulled out a slip of paper. Since you can hold your engagement at a state-run restaurant, how about paying back the money you owe my family? I waved the IOU in my hand. Julian, who had been staring at the tree, looked up in surprise. I tilted my head back toward the sky, my tone dripping with sarcasm. You're not planning to throw a grand engagement party and then skip out on your debts, are you? If not, I'll go to the village chief. If that doesn't work, I'll go straight to your workplace. What kind of sense is that? Julian's face burned red, and Fiona looked miserably guilty. I glared at them, thinking they had it coming. Hadn't meant to corner them so harshly, but they provoked it. Finally, having fulfilled, Julian regained some composure and stepped away from the poplar tree to approach us. Yolanda, we sincerely invited you. If you don't have time, it's fine. As for the money, I promise to return it as soon as I can. Yes, they too. Yes, having fulfilled my obsession. Fiona chimed in eagerly. I snorted in derision, typical college students. A few words, and suddenly I was the unreasonable one. Fine. See you then, I said, turning and waving over my shoulder. I'll be there, but you'd better be ready. After walking some distance, I heard Julian grumbling to Fiona behind me. We're having an engagement, so why did you provoke her? Did you really want her showing up with the IOU to the banquet? I couldn't hear Fiona's reply, only that she was wiping away tears. Back home, I handed the money I'd retrieved to my mother. After reading for a while, I heard someone calling my name at the door. It was Lily, my neighbor. Just as I was about to ask what she wanted, Julian's voice came from a corner. Yolanda. It's me. I came to see you. I turned sharply. Julian emerged from behind the wall. I didn't want to talk and turned to leave, but he hurried after me. Yolanda. Let me explain. Fiona and I really haven't done anything. You misunderstood. I spun around, disgust and impatience written all over my face. So? You're about to hold an engagement banquet with her. And now you tell me this? What does that even mean? You just want to have it both ways, don't you? Or was this always your plan, to make me willingly care for your mother, so you could freely chase your affairs outside, flirt around, and enjoy yourself? Caught off guard, Julian's eyes went wide, full of disbelief. Seeing his shock, I knew I was right. That had been his plan all along. In the last life, he executed it successfully. I became a free housekeeper, an unpaid maid, even betrayed by the son who, for his father and that mistress, kept my hardworking mother in the dark. I glared at Julian fiercely. Don't treat everyone like fools. Your schemes are practically written on your face. Playing the part of a loving man? It's disgusting. And repay the money you owe my family. Have some shame. Julian froze for a moment, then realized I had already disappeared. Though I'd threatened him that day, I wasn't especially keen on attending the engagement banquet. But my mother insisted I go, armed with the IOU Julian had written, dragging me to the event. The state-run restaurant in town was bustling. Julian and Fiona stood at the entrance, neat and tidy, greeting guests. As soon as they saw my mother and me, Fiona immediately linked arms with Julian, feigning intimacy. Yolanda. You came. I thought you'd be too shy to show up. I curled my lips and snorted coldly. Shy? You're the one chasing a man in broad daylight, barging into his home, messing with his wedding, and thinking you're so proud of yourself. Fiona's face turned crimson, lips pale from anger at my words. She stomped twice, threw herself into Julian's arms, and shook with sobs. Julian's expression was equally dramatic, eyes wide, glaring as if he could devour someone. I ignored them and took a step inside. But Julian raised a hand to stop me. Yolanda, I think you shouldn't go in. Given our relationship, no one inside would welcome you. I looked at him in disbelief. How funny. Just the day before yesterday, you my supposed fiancé personally invited me to come. And now that I've arrived, you say I'm not welcome? What kind of game are you two playing, luring me here just to mock me? At that moment, it was mealtime, and the entrance of the restaurant was crowded with people. Many of them were there specifically for the engagement banquet. As I stood by the door and said those few words, several people had already stopped and gathered around to watch. I turned to look at the people behind me and asked once more, are you really sure you won't let me in? If not, I'll leave. Julian, who cared about his reputation, couldn't hold back any longer. With clenched teeth, he reluctantly said, please, come in. My mother and I took our seats. Someone nearby struck up a conversation with her. Hey, are you from the groom's side of the family? I heard the groom works in the provincial capital. After the engagement, they're both moving to the city. Is that true? I didn't expect Fiona to be so lucky. I sat quietly, not responding. It was clear that the treatment different people received was worlds apart. In my previous life, I waited until the very end, but Julian never came to take me to the city to enjoy a better life. But Fiona? They'd just gotten engaged, and he was already planning to take her to the city. What was that visit to my house yesterday all about? Was he still hoping I'd care for his mother? It was truly too much. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became, and I slammed my hand on the table. Thud, thud, thud. The sound echoed through the restaurant, and suddenly, the whole place fell silent. Everyone turned to look at me. I decided not to hold back any longer. I pulled out the IOU, walked up to Julian, and said, Julian, since you've already decided to take Fiona to the city, you should pay back the money you owe my family first. Otherwise, once you've moved to the city, how will I find you to repay us? The cheerful expressions that had been on their faces just moments before instantly turned into stunned silence. Fiona's parents immediately stepped forward to defuse the situation. Miss, this is a happy occasion for our family. Can we discuss this later? Just as I was about to speak, my mother stood up, her voice booming as she supported me. Hey, what kind of talk is this? Paying back a debt is a matter of course. You're about to leave, and yet you still owe my family money. Do you think you can just run away from your debts? Everyone. What do you think? They're about to go to the city to enjoy their lives. Yet they're avoiding paying back the money they owe. Would you let them go if you were in our shoes? People around us started chiming in with their opinions. Exactly. How can they just leave without paying? They're clearly trying to avoid paying their debts. Right? Fiona's family was all proud, saying their daughter was marrying someone from the city. Now we see it's all talk. They're probably just freeloaders. Julian's face turned an ashen gray, and Fiona's hand, which was holding the wine glass, trembled uncontrollably. I waved my hand. I won't make things difficult for you today. Just pay back the money, and we'll leave immediately. How does that sound? Julian glanced around. The guests today weren't just Fiona's relatives. Many of our village neighbors were also present. Among them, several people knew about the history between Julian and me, and they looked at him with scorn. In the end, Julian had no choice but to turn to Fiona's parents. Somehow, he convinced them, and after some painful hesitation, Fiona's parents handed over 500 yuan. The money was counted out right there, and with heads held high, my mother and I left the restaurant. After the engagement banquet, Julian did indeed take Fiona and his mother to the city. As for me, I officially entered the intense study phase for my college entrance exams. The old principal recommended me to one of his former students, a math teacher at the county high school. I went to the principal's house every day for extra lessons. And when I got home, I would dive into practice problems. On Sundays, I would go to the county with my father to meet teachers and review my weaknesses. Before I knew it, a year had passed in the blink of an eye. Finally, having fulfilled my exam, the time for the real test arrived. During the 3-day college entrance exam, I did my best to concentrate, blocking out all distractions. When the exams ended, I felt like my entire body had been drained of energy. I was exhausted, my hands and feet feeling weak. But my hard work paid off. A month later, I received an admission letter from Beijing University. My parents were overjoyed and celebrated at home. Many of our family friends in the village sent me gifts. Though the gifts were modest, the thoughtfulness behind them was precious. In September, with great expectations for the future, I walked onto the university campus. The 4 years of university were tough but fulfilling, and they made me realize just how important education is, both for the individual and the country. After graduation, I chose to become a proud teacher. Every day, seeing my students' bright, eager faces, I felt my work was meaningful. Over the years, I returned home a few times, and my mother told me that Julian's grandmother had passed away. Julian and Fiona didn't seem to be doing well either. Recently, Fiona's family had caused a scene at Julian's family's house. I heard that shortly after their wedding, Julian had an affair with another woman. When Fiona discovered it, she sent an anonymous letter that got Julian fired from his job. Still not satisfied, Fiona took all of Julian's savings and ran away. Julian searched for her for months, but she was nowhere to be found. Now, both families were at odds. Julian's family wanted money from Fiona's family, and Fiona's family wanted Julian's family to return the person. The quarrel was intense. But the worst off was Julian. He had lost his mother, his home, his wife, his money, and his job. I heard he was on the verge of begging for food. As I sat there peeling peanuts, listening to my mother talk, well, thank goodness you didn't marry him. Otherwise, you would have suffered too. I couldn't help but shudder. I thought to myself, you don't know. I've already been through Julian's betrayal once. That's why I'm smarter now. But I was also grateful for where I was now. I wasn't the Yolanda who was caught up in petty love anymore. I was a math teacher at the county's key high school, and the students I had taught were now shining in various fields. 5 years later, I was awarded the title of Provincial Outstanding Teacher. On the day I went to the provincial capital to receive my award, I stood with a few other teachers at the bus stop, waiting for the bus. Suddenly, an old voice called out, "Sunflower seeds. Ice lollies. Sunflower seeds. Anyone want some?" I turned around in surprise. The man in front of me, though much older, was unmistakably Julian. He recognized me too. His face lit up, and he rushed forward to speak to me. One of the other teachers stepped forward, pushing Julian aside. "Yolanda, the bus is coming. Let's go. We'll be late." I followed the crowd onto the bus. As I looked through the window, I saw Julian chasing after the bus, shouting my name. A teacher beside me asked, "Do you know him?" He didn't seem to have good intentions. "Be careful." I nodded gratefully, then replied, "I don't know him." I stared at the rearview mirror of the bus, watching Julian, who had finally stopped. He squatted on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. I looked at his forlorn figure, feeling a strange sense of calm. Without me, his blood bagged, Julian was nothing special after all. The so-called true love, Fiona, had gone from being a beauty mark to just a mosquito bite. But for me, having returned to life, there was a new purpose, a new meaning. My life, much like the rising sun, was filled with boundless vitality and hope. March 2024. The most luxurious villa district in Zhongcheng. Serena returned from the law firm with the divorce agreement in hand. She stood before the full-length mirror, gazing at the young, beautiful face staring back at her. 23 years old, the prime of her life. At this moment, she truly believed she had been reborn, back to 5 years ago, to the version of herself before marriage had completely destroyed her. In her previous life, she had been humble and submissive to Maxim for a full 5 years. Maxim was a legend in John Chang's business world by the age of 28. He had turned the Maxim family group into a commercial empire. Handsome and cold as ice, he was the objective pursuit by countless socialites. And she, the heiress of the Winston family group, had married him in a business alliance marriage. She had thought it was the beginning of a fairy tale, but it turned out to be the prologue to a nightmare. For 5 years, Maxim never once looked at her properly. He had his first love, Bianca, a woman pure and unblemished in his heart like a first love. In her previous life, she had done foolish things to win Maxim's love. In the end, she died in a car accident, only to discover before dying that it had all been Bianca's scheme, including the marriage, including her death. Reborn. She would never repeat the same mistakes. Serena placed the divorce agreement on the most conspicuous spot on the coffee table, then began packing her things. Her luggage was light. Most of it was from before her marriage. This home had never truly belonged to her. As she was organizing the wardrobe, she heard the sound of a car outside. Maxim was home. Serena took a deep breath and kept packing. Soon footsteps came from the living room, followed by the sound of papers shuffling. Serena. The deep male voice sounded downstairs. Cold as ever. Serena slowly descended the stairs and saw Maxim holding the divorce agreement, his stunningly handsome face full of disbelief. What does this mean? His voice held restrained anger. The literal meaning, Serena said calmly. We're getting a divorce. Maxim stared at her intently, his deep black eyes seeming to see through her. What game are you playing now? The Serena from the last life did play any games, pretending to be sick to get his attention, deliberately spreading rumors with other men to make him jealous. That those childish tactics only deepened his disgust for her. This is not a game. Serena looked at him steadily. I'm tired. I don't want to continue this marriage. Maxim slammed the agreement onto the coffee table. Serena. Don't forget what this marriage means to the Winston family. Would your father agree? He would. Serena smiled. A lightness never felt before in that smile. Because the Winston family no longer needs the Maxim family. That statement changed Maxim's expression completely. Serena was right. After she died in the last life, Winston severed ties with the Maxim family. The Winston family didn't collapse, instead. It gained huge success in overseas markets. This time, she would bring that result forward. You're crazy. Maxim's voice trembled slightly. I'm very clear-headed. Serena stepped up to him and looked him in the eyes seriously. Maxim. We don't love each other. Why keep torturing ourselves? You let me go. I'll let you go. You can go find your Bianca. And I can live the life I want. Hearing Bianca's name, Maxim's eyes darkened even more. You've been investigating me? No need. Serena turned and headed upstairs. Your thoughts are written all over your face. Serena. Maxim called after her. She stopped but didn't look back. You think divorcing can threaten me? Maxim's voice turned dangerous. Without the Maxim family, the Winston family is nothing. Then try me. Serena didn't look back and went upstairs. Behind her came the heavy sound of Maxim slamming the door. Serena leaned against the bedroom door and exhaled slowly. The first step was done. The next morning, Serena received a call from her father. Winston. Serena. What's going on with you and Maxim? He called me last night saying you want a divorce. Winston's voice was full of worry. Serena calmly ate her breakfast and replied, Yes. Dad. I've made up my mind. Nonsense. Winston's voice shot up 8 octaves. Do you know how important this marriage is to the Winston family? I know. Serena put down her coffee cup. But Dad, have you ever considered that maybe the Winston family doesn't have to rely on anyone? Serena. Don't be willful. Matters of the heart can be cultivated slowly. But business is no joke. Serena understood her father's concerns. In the last life, The Winston family indeed depended heavily on cooperation with the Maxim family, but only because they had never thought to develop independently. Dad, will you believe me just once? Give me 3 months. If I can't prove that the Winston family can stand on its own, I'll withdraw the divorce request. Silence on the other end lasted a long time. Serena, have you really thought this through? I have. All right. 3 months. But if you fail. If I fail, I'll never mention divorce again. Serena promised. After hanging up, Serena immediately dialed another number. Lena, help me schedule a meeting with the head of Germany's Schmidt Group. Tell them the Winston family has a project to discuss cooperation. Lena was Serena's personal assistant. Loyal since childhood. Miss Schmidt Group? That's Europe's largest new energy company. Do you think they'll want to work with us? They will. Serena narrowed her eyes. Tell them we have the technology they want. In the last life, after Serena died, Winston angrily cut ties with the Maxim family. To retaliate, Winston sold a key technology to the German Schmidt Group, causing the Maxim family to suffer a complete defeat in the European market. This time, she planned to accelerate that outcome. After hanging up, Serena changed into a professional suit and prepared to go to the company. Just as she stepped out of the villa, she saw Maxim's black Maybach parked at the entrance. He leaned against the car, dressed sharply in a suit, handsome like a sculpture. Seeing Serena come out, he straightened up. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. Serena walked straight to her car. Maxim caught up in a few steps and held the door closed. Serena, what exactly do you want? What I want is simple. Serena looked up at him, her clear eyes devoid of past infatuation. Freedom. Freedom? Maxim sneered. You're the heir of the Winston family. You'll never have true freedom. Then let's wait and see. Serena pushed his hand away and got into the car. Through the window, she saw the complicated expression on Maxim's face. In the last life, she was so humble that even Maxim thought she was easy to bully. This time, she was determined to show him that even without him, she could lead a brilliant life. When she arrived at the company, Serena went straight to the R&D department. Owen, how's the progress on the new energy project? Owen, the head of R&D, looked excited upon hearing Serena's question. Serena, our technology has made a breakthrough. If we can find the right partner, this project will bring huge profits. Good. Serena nodded with satisfaction. Prepare a detailed project report. I need it for a major business negotiation. Just then, the secretary hurried over. Serena, President Maxim is here. He's waiting for you in the conference room. Serena frowned. Maxim actually came to the company? Tell him I'm busy and don't have time to see him. But President Maxim said he won't leave if you don't meet him. Serena took a deep breath. It seemed Maxim was determined to stop this divorce. Understood. Serena straightened her clothes and walked toward the conference room. Pushing open the door, she saw Maxim sitting in the main seat, looking entitled. This only strengthened her resolve to divorce him. Say what you want quickly. I'm busy. Serena sat down opposite him, her tone cold. Maxim looked at her deeply. Serena, we've been married for 2 years. You've changed. People always change. Serena said lightly, especially after facing reality. What reality? Serena suddenly smiled, with a trace of mockery. The reality is, you will never love me. And I'm done deceiving myself. Maxim's expression changed for a moment but soon returned to coldness. Love is not a necessity for marriage. For you, maybe. Serena stood up. But to me, a loveless marriage is a tomb. I won't agree to the divorce. Maxim also stood, his voice firm and unyielding. Then we'll see each other in court. Serena walked out of the room without looking back. Behind her came the sound of Maxim slamming the table. Serena's lips curled into a cold smile. Maxim. Oh Maxim. Do you really think I'm still the Serena you could control? This time, I'll make you realize that losing me is the biggest loss of your life. A week later, Serena received a reply from Schmidt Group. They were willing to send representatives to Zhongcheng to discuss cooperation. Serena knew this was a crucial step to prove herself. She prepared thoroughly for the negotiation, not only the technical materials, but also detailed research on the other company, and a complete cooperation proposal. Her memories from the previous life gave her a huge advantage. She knew exactly what Schmidt Group needed and where their weaknesses lay. On the day of the negotiation, Serena wore a sharp black suit, exuding confidence and power. The Schmidt Group's representative was a German man named Hans, in his 50s with keen eyes. "Serena, I heard you have the technology we need?" Hans got straight to the point. "Yes." Serena opened the prepared materials. "This is our latest new energy storage technology, which can increase storage efficiency by 30. Hans's eyes lit up instantly. He carefully reviewed the materials, his expression growing more excited. "Serena, if this technology is genuine, it will revolutionize the entire industry. I can arrange for you to visit our laboratory," Serena said confidently. Just as the negotiation reached a critical point, the conference room door suddenly opened. Maxim walked in, followed by several executives from the Maxim family. "Sorry to interrupt." Maxim's voice carried a chill. "Mr. Hans. I am Maxim, president of the Maxim family group." Hans stood and shook Maxim's hand. "Maxim. It's an honor." Serena's face darkened immediately. Maxim showed up at this moment. What was he up to? "Mr. Hans. I think it's necessary to remind you of something." Maxim sat down, his tone calm but threatening. "The Winston family group's technology is partially developed based on patents from the Maxim family. Without authorization from the Maxim family, this technology cannot be transferred externally." Serena's heart raced. She had died early in the last life and never knew this technology was entangled in such disputes. Hans frowned. "Maxim? Do you mean?" "I mean if Schmidt Group wants this technology, they will need to sign cooperation agreements with both the Winston family and the Maxim family." Maxim glanced at Serena with a triumphant look in his eyes. Serena fought back her anger and kept her composure. "Mr. Hans, I need to confirm some technical details with my team. We can continue the negotiation this afternoon." Hans nodded. "No problem. I understand." After Hans left, only Serena and Maxim remained in the conference room. "What are you doing?" Serena's voice was filled with suppressed anger. "I'm protecting my rights." Maxim leaned back confidently. "Serena, do you think the Winston family can develop independently without the Maxim family? How naive. Are you really that unwilling to see me succeed?" Serena stared at him. "I can't stand your reckless behavior." Maxim stood and came closer. "If you want to prove yourself, I can give you a chance. But on one condition: you cannot harm the Maxim family's interests." "What if I want to harm them?" Serena challenged. A dangerous glint flashed in Maxim's eyes. "Then you can try." He turned and left the room. Serena sat down, shaking with anger. Maxim was ruthless, using this to threaten her. But she wouldn't back down. She immediately called Owen. "Owen, tell me the truth. Did our technology really use Maxim family's patents?" Owen looked troubled. "Serena, a small part does involve Maxim family patents. But that's just the basic part. Our core technology is completely independently developed. So, if we bypass that patent part, the technology still works?" "Yes, having fulfilled my obsession. But it will take some time to adjust." A light flashed in Serena's eyes. "How long will it take?" "1 month. Good. Start the adjustments immediately." Serena stood. "I want Maxim to know that the Winston family can succeed without him." That afternoon, Serena ruefully told Hans about the technology adjustments. Hans understood and agreed to wait for 1 month. But he also made a condition. "Serena, if the technology adjustment fails after 1 month, we will have to cooperate with the Maxim family." Serena nodded in agreement. 1 month he must succeed. That night, Serena worked late and only returned home very late. As soon as she stepped in, she saw Maxim sitting in the living room, holding a glass of red wine. "Back?" His voice was emotionless. Serena ignored him and walked straight upstairs. "Serena," Maxim called after her. "What happened today? I'm willing to pretend it never happened." Serena stopped, turned around, and looked at him. What do you mean? If you withdraw the divorce application, I can help you with the Schmidt project. Maxim put down his wine glass and looked at her seriously. We can cooperate and create a win-win. Serena smiled, a hint of sarcasm in it. Maxim, do you really think I'd trust you again? I've never lied to you. You never lied, but you never loved me either. Serena's voice was soft but every word was crystal clear. Maxim, it's over between us. Serena. Maxim suddenly stood up, his eyes showing panic like never before. Do you have to be this ruthless? It's not that I'm heartless. You never gave me any hope. Tears glistened in Serena's eyes. But her voice remained firm. Maxim, let go of me. And also let go of yourself. With that, she walked upstairs without looking back. Behind her came the sound of a wine glass shattering. Leaning against the bedroom door, Serena finally let the tears fall. Not from sadness, but from relief. This time, she could finally live for herself. A month passed quickly. Serena spent almost every day in the R&D department, working alongside the technicians to overcome difficulties. Efforts paid off, and the technology adjustments finally succeeded. The new energy storage technology not only bypassed the Maxim family's patents but also improved efficiency by 10. Serena looked at the test report, a long-lost smile appearing on her face. Owen, thank you all for your hard work, she told the R&D team. This success belongs to everyone. Serena, it's all thanks to you, Owen said excitedly. Without your persistence, we wouldn't have broken through the technical bottleneck so quickly. Serena waved her hand. It's the team's victory. At that moment, the secretary rushed in. Serena, bad news. What happened? Serena frowned. The Schmidt group just sent a notice saying they'd decided to cooperate with the Maxim family and won't consider our project anymore. Serena's face instantly turned pale. How was this possible? There were still 3 days left until the agreed deadline. Why did Hans suddenly change his mind? Did they give a reason? Serena forced down her anger and asked. They said the Maxim family offered better terms and a more complete technical solution. Serena closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She knew this had to be Maxim's doing. He wouldn't let her succeed, so he destroyed her efforts in his own way. Serena, what do we do now? Owen asked anxiously. It's okay. Serena opened her eyes again, the light of determination shining in them. If one Schmidt group won't work, then we'll find other partners. But finding an international powerhouse like Schmidt. Owen, do you believe in me? Serena interrupted. Of course I do. Then keep following me. I promise. The Winston family will not fall. And our technology will not be buried. Leaving the R&D department, Serena drove straight to the Maxim Family Corporation. She wanted to confront Maxim in person and ask why he was doing this to her. The Maxim family building towered into the sky, a symbol of Maxim's status in the business world. Serena used to come here with nervousness, afraid that her arrival would upset Maxim. But today was different. She came full of anger. Mrs. Winston, you're here. The receptionist greeted her respectfully. Is President Maxim available? Serena asked. He is. You can go straight up. Serena took the elevator directly to the top floor and pushed open the CEO's office door. Maxim was busy with documents. Seeing her enter, no surprise showed on his face. I was waiting for you, he said, putting down the papers and leaning back in his chair. You knew I would come? Serena walked up to his desk, placing her hands on it, glaring angrily at him. Of course. Maxim's tone was calm. You must have heard about Schmidt. Why? Serena gritted her teeth. Why destroy my efforts like this? I told you. I won't let you mess around. Maxim stood and looked down at her. Serena, do you think leaving me means you can stand on your own in business? How naive. I never asked for your help, but you have no right to stop me from succeeding. Serena's voice trembled with rage. I do. Maxim came closer, reaching out to touch her cheek. Because you're my wife. Serena stepped back sharply, avoiding his touch. We're about to get divorced. I won't sign. Pain flickered briefly in Maxim's eyes but was quickly replaced by resolve. Serena. Don't think you can leave me. You're forcing me. Tears filled Serena's eyes. Maxim. Do you know what you're doing? I'm trying to save our marriage. This isn't saving it. It's destroying it. Serena finally cried out. You don't love me, why won't you let me go? Seeing her tears, Maxim's expression softened for a moment. But soon, without a low sigh, he returned to coldness. Love isn't everything in a marriage. We can get along, respect each other, and respect each other? Serena wiped away her tears, her voice turning icy. Maxim, you destroyed my career and trampled on my dignity. Is this how you get along? Maxim fell silent. One last time I ask you. Serena stared into his eyes. Are you willing to sign the divorce papers? Maxim looked at her with a complicated expression. In the end, he gave the answer that broke Serena's heart completely. No. Fine. Serena nodded, then turned to leave. Serena, where are you going? Maxim asked behind her. At the door. Serena stopped but didn't look back. To where I should go. Don't do anything stupid. Panic crept into Maxim's voice. I won't do anything stupid. Serena's voice was soft but every word was clear. But I won't be coming back. With that, she opened the door and walked out. Behind her came Maxim's hurried footsteps. But Serena didn't stop. As the elevator doors closed, she saw Maxim standing by the entrance. His face filled with regret. But it was too late. Some things, once lost, can never be regained, including her heart for him. Serena didn't go home. Instead, she went straight to the airport. She was heading to the United States, the place where her father had ultimately chosen to develop his business in her previous life. Since Maxim obstructed her every turn in the domestic market, she decided to change the battlefield. In the waiting lounge, Serena called her father. Dad, I'm going to the U.S. What? Serena, why the sudden decision to go to America? Winston sounded surprised. The Schmidt Group deal fell through. Serena briefly explained. I need to find new partners. Was it Maxim who sabotaged it? Winston's voice turned cold instantly. Yes. Serena did not hide the truth. There was a silence on the other end for a moment. Serena, are you sure about this? Do you understand what going to the U.S. means? I do. Serena stared out at the planes outside the window, her eyes firm. It means I won't be coming back. All right. Winston's voice was relieved. I support you. I have some friends over there. Contact them once you arrive. Thank you, Dad. After hanging up, Serena received her boarding notification. Just as she was about to board, her phone rang. It was Maxim. Serena glanced at it and immediately hung up. The phone rang again, and she hung up once more. This repeated several times until Serena finally turned off her phone. 12 hours later, Serena arrived in New York. The sky in America was exceptionally blue, just like the hope filling her heart at that moment. Following the address her father gave her, Serena found his friend in the U.S., a man named Leo. Leo was a Chinese entrepreneur who had immigrated years ago and had great influence in Silicon Valley. Serena, why did you come alone? Where's Maxim? Leo warmly greeted her. Leo, I divorced him. Serena didn't hide anything. Leo was stunned for a moment, then patted her shoulder. It's okay. Girls have to live for themselves. Leo, Dada Leo, I want to develop my career here. Could you help me introduce some partners? Of course. Leo readily agreed. There's a new energy technology expo next week. I'll take you. Serena's first week in America was very busy. She not only attended the expo but also visited several strong companies. With her advanced technology and sincere attitude, she quickly found partners. America's largest new energy company, having fulfilled one session. Tesla expressed great interest in the Winston family's technology and was willing to cooperate deeply. The signing ceremony was scheduled for a week later. That night, Serena sat alone on the hotel balcony, looking out at the New York nightscape. The bustling city lights shone brightly, just like the hope glowing in her heart. She took out her phone and saw numerous missed calls. All from Maxim. Along with many messages. Serena. Where are you? Come back. Let's talk. I know I was wrong. Please come back. I'm begging you. Come back. Looking at these messages, Serena felt a strange sense of absurdity. In her previous life, she had begged Maxim humbly for 5 years, only to be met with his coldness and disregard. Now it was his turn to beg her. But she no longer wanted to respond. Some people, some things, once missed, are gone forever. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Serena thought it was hotel staff and opened the door, only to be stunned. Maxim was standing there, disheveled, bloodshot eyes staring intensely. How did you find this place? Serena asked. I've been looking for you for a week. Maxim's voice was hoarse. Serena. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. Serena tried to close the door, but Maxim blocked it with his hand. There is. Maxim pushed the door open. About our marriage. About my feelings. Your feelings? Serena sneered. Maxim. Do you even have feelings? I do. Maxim stepped closer. His eyes filled with sincerity she had never seen before. Serena. I love you. These words stunned Serena. In her previous life, she waited 5 years without hearing this. Now, she heard it so easily. But it was already too late. You love me? Serena smiled. But the smile was full of endless sorrow. Maxim. Do you know how long I waited for this sentence? I know I was wrong. Maxim tried to hug her, but was pushed away. Serena. Give me a chance to make it right. Make it right. Tears glistened in Serena's eyes. Do you think saying you love me now can make up for the pain of the last 2 years? I can spend a lifetime making it up to you. Maxim's voice was desperate and pleading. Serena. Don't leave me. Listen carefully. Maxim. Serena wiped her tears and her voice grew calm. I don't love you anymore. Even if you say you love me now, I won't turn back. That's impossible. Maxim shook his head. You can't not love me. Why not? Serena looked at him, her eyes without any lingering feelings. People's hearts change. Maxim. You neglected me for 2 years. Trampled on my dignity. Ruined my career. What right do you have to think I still love you? Maxim's face turned pale. Serena. Go away. Serena turned to the window. Don't come looking for me again. I won't give up. Maxim said behind her. Serena. I'll prove my love with actions. Do as you please. Serena's voice was light. But I won't look back. The sound of the door opening and closing came from behind. Maxim left. Serena still stood by the window. Tears silently streaming down. Not because she was sad, but because she was relieved. She could finally let go completely. Chapter 6. 1 year later. The cooperation between the Winston family and Tesla was a huge success. Serena's new energy technology caused a sensation in the American market. In just 1 year, the Winston family's branch in the U.S. became an industry rising star. Serena was named Most Influential Chinese Entrepreneur of the Year. The award ceremony was held in Los Angeles, attended by business elites from all over the world. Serena, dressed elegantly in a black evening gown, stood on the podium to deliver her speech. Thank you to this era for giving women the opportunity to pursue their dreams. And thank you to everyone who has supported me. Her voice was clear and determined. I want to tell all the women out there, never give up your dreams because of others. Thunderous applause followed. After the ceremony, Serena was surrounded by reporters. Serena, we heard you were originally the heir of the Winston family in Zhongcheng. Why did you choose to develop your career in the U.S.? Because the sky is broader here. Serena replied with a smile. There are rumors that your ex-husband, Mr. Maxim, has been trying to win you back. What do you think about that? Upon hearing Maxim's name, Serena's expression didn't change. I don't want to discuss personal matters. After the interview, Serena returned to the hotel. Opening the door, she was stunned. Maxim sat on the sofa, holding a bouquet of red roses. Why are you here again? Serena frowned. Over the past year, Maxim had come to the US almost every month to see her, only to be turned away each time. I watched today's awards ceremony. Maxim stood up, pride shining in his eyes. Serena. You succeeded. Yes, I did succeed. Serena walked to the wine cabinet and poured herself a glass of red wine. Even without you, I can still succeed. I know. Maxim's voice was tinged with bitterness. I also know how terribly wrong I was. That's good to hear. Serena took a sip of her wine. So you can give up now. I can't give up. Maxim came closer, placing the roses on the coffee table. Serena, over the past year I've been thinking if time could rewind, how would I treat you differently? Unfortunately, having fulfilled my time can't rewind. Serena said coldly. I know. Tears glistened in Maxim's eyes. So I can only spend the rest of my life making amends. Maxim, don't you think you're ridiculous? Serena turned to look at him, her eyes cold and void of warmth. When I loved you, you dismissed me. Now that I don't love you anymore, you suddenly start acting sentimental. I'm not acting. Maxim's voice trembled. Serena, I really do love you. Love me for what? Serena sneered. My background? My wealth? Or my current success? I love you as a person. Maxim said earnestly. Your kindness. Your strength. Your intelligence, everything about you. Then why didn't you say that earlier? Serena's voice rose sharply. Why didn't you say it when I cooked for you every day? When I was sick? When Bianca bullied me? Maxim was left speechless. Answer me. Tears welled up in Serena's eyes, the first time in a year she had cried in front of him. Why didn't you love me then? Why did you wait until I stopped loving you to say it? Maxim tried to explain. But all his words felt hollow and powerless. Forget it. Serena wiped her tears and regained her composure. It doesn't matter anymore. It does matter. Maxim said urgently. Serena, you're still crying. Which means there's still a part of you that cares about me. I'm not crying because I still love you. Serena looked at him, her gaze frighteningly calm. I'm crying because I feel sorry for myself and me, who was humiliated for 2 years because of you. Serena. We're really over. Serena cut him off. Don't come looking for me again. We both need to start new lives. I don't want a new life. I only want you. Maxim tried to hold her, but she pushed him away. But I don't want you anymore. Serena's words pierced Maxim's heart like a sword. Remember, you're the one who pushed me away and destroyed our relationship. It's too late for regrets now. With that, she walked toward the door and opened it. Please leave. Maxim stood frozen, trembling all over. After a long moment, he slowly walked toward the door. When he passed Serena, he stopped and said, Serena, if there is a next life, I will love you properly. If there is a next life. Serena looked into the distance, her voice barely a whisper. I hope I never see you again. Those words completely shattered Maxim. He staggered out of the room, his silhouette as desolate as a fallen leaf. Serena closed the door and leaned against it, tears streaming down again. Not because she softened, but because she finally spoke the words she had buried deep inside her heart. From now on, there was truly nothing left between her and Maxim. 2 years later, Serena received unexpected news. Maxim had been in a serious car accident. The news came from her father. Winston. Serena. Maxim was in a car accident. It's serious, he's currently in surgery. Winston's voice was filled with complicated emotions. Hearing this, Serena felt no ripple of emotion. Oh, she responded lightly. Serena, don't you want to go back and see him? Winston asked cautiously. Why would I? Serena replied. Dad, I have nothing to do with him anymore. But, Dad, I'm not going back. Serena cut him off. I have a lot to take care of here in the US. After hanging up, Serena continued working. But for some reason, she felt trustless. That night, she had a dream. She dreaded that night 2 years ago, the last time Maxim came to see her. He said that if there were a next life, he would love her properly. And she said, if there were a next life, she hoped never to meet him again. Serena woke up suddenly. Dawn was breaking outside the window. She got up and stood by the window, gazing into the distant sky with mixed emotions. Just then, Ms. let out a low sigh. Her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello. Are you Ms. Serena? A young woman's voice came through the phone. Yes, got it. Who is this? I'm Maxim's secretary. Before he lost consciousness, he asked that if anything happened to him, you must be notified. Serena's heart suddenly raced. How is he? Maxim was badly injured. The doctors said. Lena's voice choked with emotion. They said he might never wake up. Serena's hand holding the phone started trembling. Serena, Maxim has been thinking about you all these years. There's still a photo of you in his office. The doctor said maybe hearing your voice could wake him up. Serena closed her eyes, struggling inside. Her reason told her not to go back. It was over between them. She shouldn't be dragged into the turmoil again. But deep inside, one voice whispered, go see him. One last time. Serena, are you still there? Lena asked on the phone. Serena took a deep breath. I understand. After hanging up the phone, Serena sat on the edge of the bed, motionless for a long time. Finally, she stood up and began packing her luggage. Not because she still loved him, but because she didn't want to regret it later. 12 hours later, Serena returned to Zhongcheng, the city she had been away from for 2 years. The city looked the same, but her mindset had completely changed. She went straight from the airport to the hospital. At the ICU entrance, Serena saw many familiar faces, Maxim's friends, colleagues, and even his mother. When they saw Serena, everyone was stunned. Serena? Maxim's mother was the first to react. You're back? Serena nodded. Maxim's mom. Come in quickly and see Maxim. He's been waiting for you. Maxim's mother grabbed Serena's hand, her eyes full of tears. Through the ICU glass window, Serena saw Maxim lying on the hospital bed. His eyes were closed, his face pale, and he was hooked up to all kinds of tubes. The once confident man now looked so fragile. The doctors say his will to live is very low. Maxim's mother said, choked up beside her. Serena, I know there were misunderstandings between you two, but at a time like this, could you please? I understand. Serena replied softly. Wearing a sterile gown, Serena entered the ICU. The room was very quiet, with only the sound of machines running. Serena walked to the bedside, looking at Maxim lying quietly. After 2 years without seeing him, he had lost a lot of weight, and his face showed many signs of hardship. Maxim. Serena whispered his name. No response. I'm back, bidding fulfill session. She continued. Just like you wanted. Still no response. Serena reached out and gently held his hand. It was cold, without any warmth. Do you know, I've been doing well these past 2 years. Serena began to share her life. My career is successful. I have many friends. And I've learned to be independent and strong. I thought I had completely forgotten you. But seeing you like this. Serena's voice trembled slightly. I realize I haven't forgotten. Not because I still love you, but because you are still an important part of my life. Maxim, if you can hear me, please open your eyes. Don't lie there like this, you still have so much to do. Your company needs you. Your mother needs you, your mother needs you. And, Serena paused. And the person you truly loves, you also needs you to live well. After saying these words, Serena released his hand. Just as she was about to leave, she suddenly felt her hand being held. Serena turned around and saw Maxim slowly open his eyes. Those once deep, starry eyes now looked a little confused. But when they saw Serena, they suddenly cleared up. Serena. His voice was very soft, like a whisper in a dream. I'm here. Tears welled up in Serena's eyes. You're back, Maxim said with difficulty. I'm back. Serena nodded. Take good care of yourself. I'll wait for you to recover. This sentence brought a glimmer of light to Maxim's eyes. But soon, went down a low sigh. He closed his eyes again and fell back into unconsciousness. The doctors rushed over to check and confirmed that he was out of danger. That's wonderful. Maxim's mother hugged Serena excitedly. Thank you. Serena. You saved Maxim. Serena gently patted Maxim's mother on the back, feeling complicated emotions. She wasn't sure if she had done the right thing. But at least she didn't let herself regret it. Maxim's recovery was a long process. Serena didn't return to America but stayed in Zhongcheng to accompany him during his recovery. Not because she had rekindled love, but out of responsibility. She felt that since she had come back, she should stay until he fully recovered before leaving. Every day, Serena went to the hospital to keep Maxim company. Sometimes they talked, sometimes she just sat quietly beside him. Maxim's recovery was good, and the doctors said it was related to his strong will to survive. Serena. Thank you for coming back. One day, Maxim suddenly said to her. No need to thank me. Serena was peeling an apple without looking up. We were married after all. It's only right to check on you. Just checking on me? There was a hint of hope in Maxim's voice. Yes. Serena looked up calmly. Maxim. I didn't come back to reconcile. Don't misunderstand. A flash of disappointment crossed Maxim's eyes but quickly returned to calm. I understand. Good. Serena handed him the sliced apple. Take care of yourself and recover quickly. What about after recovery? Maxim asked. Will you stay in Zhongcheng? No. Serena answered decisively. I still have a career to pursue in America. Maxim was silent for a long time before saying. I can understand. Since then, Maxim never mentioned reconciliation again. Their relationship became very plain. Like friends or strangers. But definitely not like a married couple. A month later, Maxim was able to get out of bed and walk around. The doctors said he could be discharged in about 2 weeks. That night, Serena was in her hotel room packing for her trip back to America when someone knocked on the door. When she opened it, it was Maxim. He was using a cane. His face still pale. But his spirit was much better. What are you doing here? Serena was surprised. Didn't the doctor tell you to rest well? I have something to tell you. Maxim came in and sat on the sofa. What is it? Serena poured him a glass of water. About our past. Maxim took the cup seriously and looked at her. Serena. I want to apologize. Apologize? Serena laughed. Maxim. You've apologized many times already. But I never properly said it. Maxim put down the cup. His eyes deep. Serena. I'm sorry. These past 2 years. I've been thinking if only I had cherished you. If only I had recognized my feelings earlier. Would things between us have been different? But there's no if. Serena interrupted. Maxim. Let the past be the past. I want to let it go. But I can't. Maxim's voice trembled. Serena. I've regretted it every day. I regret not loving you well. I regret hurting you. I regret losing you. Do you know? Bianca got married long ago. To a rich old man. I always thought I loved her. But in fact, the one I always loved was you. Hearing these words, a complex wave of emotions surged in Serena's heart. But she quickly composed herself. Maxim. What's the